When I was 18 years old, I had a corporate tech job and I was pulling in $30 an hour. This was 5 years ago. Everyone was starting to come out of the recession and I was making some money. I was 18 heading off to university. I still worked almost full time there during university, which is kind of weird, but it wasn't for me. I didn't want a boss. I didn't want someone telling me what to do and how I had to do it. And I was kind of like a little brat. I was like a teenage brat, but for business. But I still did that job for, I guess a year or two, and I kind of phased out of it. And someone took over my position, which was kind of weird. I had to train someone that was like 12 years older than me to do my own job. But I just got sick of it. And I'm like, you know what? I got to set up my own business. I got to start making a passive income. I got to start making my own business. And, well, I'm going to show you guys just a rough outline of what you should do. I'm going to go into this in detail I'm going to release a book coming out, a little book and some more programs and stuff, and a website, and it'll kind of explain this in depth, but I'll go over this right now. So what's the very first thing you should do? All right, so this is the very first step is also a gray area. So I kind of like to say this as, don't pick a field that you love, if that makes sense. Actually, there's two things I want to say here. That's the first thing. If you love something, like I loved doing YouTube videos, but then that became my job actually for a little bit during university on a science channel. I was making it was like $1,000 a month, but I barely worked on it. I worked on it, 8 hours a week, which is pretty good. And I started not liking it because that was my source of income. I'm like, oh man, I have to pump out another video. I got to keep doing that stuff. And I didn't like it anymore. I didn't love it anymore. I lost a passion for it. Now, so that's kind of the very first thing is pick something you like. Pick something you like. Now, here's the other thing, is that you're going to have to provide some sort of product or service or content. There's three now. Content before used to not make you any money if it was free. Now you can put it on YouTube and you can make money off it. That's kind of the way, that's something new that's happened in the past 10 years. But again, you have to produce some sort of product or service. So you have to pick something. Pick something that can make you money, not some freaking you vlogging. You just don't do that because you might gain traction after a couple of years, but don't plan to be a vlogger full time. That's not the way it should go. But pick a field, pick a product, pick a service, and become an expert. What do I mean by expert? I don't mean you read for 12 hours one week and now you know everything about a subject. Okay? That's not how that works. For me, I know a lot about business. I know a lot more about business than I would say, honestly, 99% of people my age, if not more. It's not because I read some textbook one day and I went through it, or I went through 4 textbooks over a semester and then suddenly I learned everything. No, I picked up information every single day since I was 14, since I started researching stocks when I was 14 years old. And I went into a partial business field for my job for years and years and years. And I had a business family. I'd always ask them questions about business and setting up businesses and all. And being an expert, you have to passively keep learning. So I like to say passive learning. So what do I mean by that? You don't have to read a textbook every day. I mean, you can listen to podcasts about your subject. Maybe it's about art. Maybe it's about music. You can listen to podcasts about that, what other people have learned in their lives, what information they have. Pick it up and then kind of cement that in your brain. So, when someone asks me, I don't know, what was the 2008 stock market crash like? I'm like, oh, okay, there were subprime mortgages and these filthy lenders were getting didn't care about their mortgages because they were being sold off to insurance companies and I could keep going on and on and on about that stuff. It's not because I watched The Big Short, although that was a good movie, but it's just because I keep picking up information about that stuff. I mean, that's just one very specific example, but someone asks me what's a good return on a stock or on an investment, 6% per year is good. Like just stuff like that. It's not, you read a textbook and all of a sudden you know the answer to one question that someone asks you. That's not how it should be. It should be, you should know at least an intermediate to expert level amounts of everything in that field. That's how it should be. So pick something you like, make a product or service or content on it, and become an expert. Those are some of the key things. So I'm going to kind of get into this next section here. So again, pick something you like, don't pick something you love. Now, okay, you pick something you like. Let's just say you pick something that I have no sort of strength in, just so I can't, kind of bullshit this. You pick, you want to go into an art or illustration or something. You want to be an illustrator. So, okay, how would I monetize this? By the way, this is all off the top of my head. I have I did not take any notes on this. This is just me doing this off the top of my head. I literally made this up, this example Illustrator here. So how would you become self-employed as a millennial illustrator? So first, obviously, you gotta be good at what you do. So just make sure you practice. I already mentioned this. Be an expert. Make sure you're good at it. You probably won't be as good as someone who's 40 and been doing this every day for 2 decades, 3 decades, but make sure that you're good enough so that if you were to sell your product, service, or content, that people won't want their money back 24/7. I mean, for me, I've sold if you include, now I can include programs in mine, but if you include, programs, whatever, real estate transactions, which is kind of weird, this is a bad example. If you include all the stuff that I did in my old job, all those, tech research stuff that I've send out to companies like Shell or to Dove, or I did hundreds of those things. You know the amount of times someone's asked for a refund? One. Once. Out of all I probably sold 500 to 1,000 things in my lifetime. So make sure that you're good at it is what I'm trying to say. Make sure you're an expert, make sure your product service is good. So you want to be an illustrator. How do you become self-employed as an illustrator? So you become an expert. Let's just see, for this specifically, to start, you're gonna have to probably not make as much money as you would like. You're probably gonna have to eat some craft dinner. This is just me. I had to do this too. You're probably gonna have to cut your expenses a little bit and start taking I don't want to say this, but take some shit clients. I mean, shit clients or offers or whatever. So maybe you go onto a site like Fiverr. Fiverr is a site where people sell products or services ranging from $5 to $100. So maybe you go onto that site and say, hey, I am willing to, illustrate your book for $50 or maybe $30 or something. And maybe that's something that'll take you all day. But guess what? Now you have a client who might come back to you if you have a good job. If you do a good job, I mean. And sure, your client is if you have a client-based service or product, it's kind of semi-self-employed. It's still self-employed, but it's like you still take orders from someone in a way. It's hard to explain. Now you're going to get to a point where maybe you might want to do some ads. You might want to do some ads and target, if you're an illustrator, maybe target people interested in writing, right? You can partner with them. Maybe you can get them to pay you for all the books that they do. Just some examples. You're going to want to do some advertising. You're going to want to build a website too, no matter what. I mean, you can blog about stuff. You should be on social media too, by the way. For any business these days, it is so vital to be on social media and to have a website. I mean, you can't have a business these days, especially online, and and not have these two things. By the way, sorry, here's another tangent. Why it's so easy to become self-employed as a millennial. This is the easiest time to become self-employed in maybe history. Because, back in the old days, you'd have to go get a loan, you'd have to get some bricks and mortar, or maybe you'd have to, print whatever books or whatever you were selling back in the day. Now, if you have a website and a domain name, and you can have it all done for like under $100. You can have a full business running online, which is why my stuff is so profitable, by the way. Like, it costs me to maintain everything, my website, I have a few domain names actually, and my host site and all that stuff. It's under $100. Actually, if you include one other thing, it's over $100. But the PayPal Stripe account, that's a lot more money, and my website is actually more money than $100. But anyways, that's a side tangent here. Where am I going with this? So you're gonna have to set up a website, social media. You're gonna have to put out free content or maybe like previews or something. If you're an illustrator, giving up free shit is I should say portfolio. You gotta have a portfolio. I guess that's what it would be for an illustrator. I think that's the right word, right? So free content would be a portfolio. Or maybe you say, hey, I'm willing to do the cover page of your book, and if you like it, you hire me for $50 to do the rest of your book. Something like that. Get people interested in wanting your services. Let's just see, there's so many other things. Maybe you call up every single podcast, you call up every single art person on YouTube or social, or email them or tweet them and be like, hey, not check out my stuff, but is there anything I can do to help you out, to save you some time? And maybe you give me, I know it's like people don't want to get paid for exposure, but maybe it's just to get your name out there kind of thing. Like maybe you have to eat shit for a year and do a bunch of free stuff to get your name out there. Not free stuff, maybe $5 or something, or $10. But all of a sudden, everyone knows your name. When I started this YouTube channel, guess what? I had 0 subscribers when I started this, and I had 0 views. Now, in terms of views, I think I'm getting close to 1 million right now. How... I wasn't making money off. By the way, I do put ads on these videos, and it brings me a decent amount of money. I will say that in my program, it brings me a good amount of money actually. But I didn't put ads on my videos for the first 4 months because I thought that it would deter about 5 to 10% of viewers away if they see a 30-second ad. And that ended up being very beneficial because it made a viral video, which most of you guys have seen. It's the How to Invest in the Stock Market for Beginners, whatever, how many hundreds of thousands of views that's at now. And honestly, I didn't make any money off this channel even when that video took off, I still refused to put ads on my videos for a few months. I missed out on thousands of dollars, by just not doing that because I wanted to grow. And now, I'm doing, just from this channel, it's pulling in a good amount of money. So maybe you're an illustrator, maybe you want to make a YouTube channel too. You can monetize that. You can put ads on your videos. If you teach people how to illustrate, maybe you show those speed drawing things or tutorials on how to draw this kind of thing. This is just an example. If you want to become self-employed in general, one thing there's a few warnings I want to give you here, but the one big warning I should say is that it's going to take a while, so it's going to take a lot of time. Oh, and what was the other thing I was going to say? It was, oh yeah, that's right. You're not going to have one source of income. People think that when you're self-employed, you only do one thing. No. For me, I have I think I'm up to 7 sources of income that are above $100 a month. I think I'm around there. I'd have to count it all up, but you're gonna have to do you're gonna have to do more than 2. You're probably gonna have to do 3 to 10 different sources of income. And relating this back to illustrating or whatever, that means that you're gonna have to go on, Fiverr or do jobs there. You're gonna have to make YouTube videos. You're gonna have to maybe do Instagram. You're gonna have to do sponsored Instagram posts on your own thing, right? You're gonna have to, I don't know, you're gonna have to sell your art somehow to galleries or That's illustration, that's different, but you're just stuff like that. You see what I mean? You're gonna have to do more than, you're gonna have to have more than one way to make money, is what I'm trying to say here. So that's something that I learned going through all this entrepreneurship in the last 3 years. I've been slowly transitioning from like, I was fully employed making $30 an hour, as I said before, at a good job where I was 100% employed. Like I had no part-time anything, no self-made money apart from stocks when I was 18. That's about it. And then, I slowly started transitioning to, one day I was like, oh, I'm like 20% now self-employed, and I cut down my hours. And then I was 50% self-employed, and then I cut down my full-time hours even more. And then I was, this year, I was like 80% self-employed. And then I cut down my hours even more. And then as of this week, I'm 100% self-employed, which is actually great, by the way. I get to wake up whenever I want, just saying. Like I'm doing this right now. This video right now, it's like 9:35 at night. Because I was like, you know what? I'm just going to wake up at like 10 o'clock today just because I wanted to sleep. I wanted to sleep, and you know what? I'm going to get in some hours here, some YouTube stuff. And maybe I'll make a little bit of money, and then I'll go and do some, programs, write some stuff up. I'll do some consulting, and then we'll all be good. Do some ads, all that stuff. So anyways, there's lots of other things you can do. I mean, you can become an affiliate marketer. Like these are just examples, like how to become self-employed. This was more targeted towards like what you'd want to do and not just online shit, not just online, like you can become an affiliate marketer. You can become a network marketer. You could buy and sell stuff on eBay, like Gary Vee says. That's not a business. That's more of like active work, but that's a different thing. You can become, an influencer, social media influencer. If you do some dumb shit and make some fake pranks, you can do that. There's just lots of things that you can do. I mean, it's so easy to set up. I'm telling you guys, if you just put in one day to set up your own website and start putting ads out there, even if you have $5, you can advertise on Facebook. I don't know if you know that. $5 on Facebook can get you the eyeballs, can get you like 5,000 impressions. So that's a very generic number. It could be a lot more, it could be a lot less. So $5 can get you 5,000 people to at least in the corner of their eye see your Facebook page or your website. So that's something to think about. Set up a Facebook ads account. That's vital for every business. Maybe Google AdWords. AdWords is big too. You can advertise on YouTube if you want to grow your YouTube channel. I was putting ads up on my old YouTube channel when I was like when I started that, I was 20 or 21, and I was doing ads for my science channel. And it worked. I mean, it brought in people, it brought in subscribers. Then they shared my videos with their friends and liked all my stuff. And all of a sudden, like I was partially self-employed in university doing YouTube and selling stuff. I mean, there's lots of, set up an online store, go to Zazzle where you can sell shirts online. You can sell shirts and hats and pants and all that stuff with your own custom design without ever having to pick up a fucking shirt, without ever having to touch it. You can do this all online, people. And so when people say that they're like entrepreneurs, one of the biggest mistakes they make is they do so much research, but they don't have anything to sell. And they don't have any service to sell. You have to sell, at the end of the day, you have to sell something. I mean, or at least get advertising on your content or whatever, which you can do through YouTube, but there's just... So one of the big mistakes that I make, I'm going to talk about in my book, is that you can put out like all the YouTube videos you want, but if you want to make a real business, you got your own like self business that's successful. You got to sell stuff. I mean, whether it's, I've done affiliate marketing, I've done the whole t-shirts and all the online merchandise. I've done all the Amazon stuff. I've done all the eBay stuff. I've sold on eBay. I've done all the programs, I started those, and books I'm getting into. And I'm telling you, you gotta sell stuff at the end of the day. If I could drill into you one message from this video, make a fucking product and service or content. That's what you gotta do. You gotta make sure everyone fucking sees it. You can't just like put it up and not tag your video. It gets 5 views and then you move on. And you're like, oh, this sucks. Guess what? your first 30 YouTube videos are probably not gonna get viewed by more than 100 people. I mean, I was kind of lucky. I wasn't lucky. I mean, I've been doing YouTube for years. I already knew how to get lots of views and lots of eyeballs. So, sorry for this giant rant. I went way off topic here, but I'm just trying to say, like, you gotta make something, guys. I mean, seriously, I'm gonna end this video right now. What you should do is either A, make a video about whatever you want to make money from, whether it's art, whether it's from music, whether it's from business, whether it's from education, whether it's from science, whatever. Make a video, make a website, make your social media accounts, and no one gives a fuck about the name, by the way. Use your own name if you want to. No one cares. Don't spend an hour being like, oh, I can't think of a name, I can't think of the artwork. That's last. Set up your site, set up everything right now so that you can have an online business and slowly become self-employed, even if you're a blogger or something like that. Wow, that is a long rant. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Shit, I have some more videos coming up this week, and I have to film some more right after this one. But my voice is kind of shot, so I guess we'll see what happens. Anyways, I'd like to thank you guys for watching. You're all beautiful people, and I'll see you guys next time.